What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James MENNIE. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, I guess we'll start off by talking about Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, who may, by the end of this weekend, find himself, I guess we call it out of a job, whatever his job actually is within that party.
Well, listen, good for him. He told him to put up or shut up. Enough of the existential open letters to Le Devoir or open letters to La Presse or I support GND or I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's becoming increasingly embarrassing for Quebec Solidaire. It's not irreconcilable to be a social democratic party and still behave like you want to run the government. It's not impossible to square that particular circle that says not everything you do has to be subject to a complete consensus and also be balanced in every way, shape, or form before it becomes policy. And last but not least, I think if they learned anything, if they should have learned anything from the last election campaign, is do your homework and find out what the real world is doing. Because we'll remember how they figured that people who had more than $1 million in assets were rich and should be taxed, subject to a huge tax. That basically blew them up. That guaranteed them third place status for the foreseeable future, because it was clear these kids don't get out very often and didn't know how things worked. So they learned a lesson there. But I think this latest idea that we're gonna be like a little league PQ and we're gonna have the daggers out for everybody and anyone who doesn't agree with us, we'll backbite them or whatever. And I think Nadeau-Dubois, who came to power riding a literal wave of popularity, thanks to the Maple Spring, thanks to the tuition demonstrations back in 2012. And he's basically saying, listen, this will be, my leadership is on the line. I'll have a leadership vote or a confidence vote. Yes, I haven't seen any figures floating around. I'm sure he may have one in mind, but right now he has completely seized the agenda. All the I'm sure ridiculous airy-fairy kind of motions that we're going to have will be getting second base coverage because now he has put the spotlight on him, and he's basically saying you either want me to be your leader and you want someone who's going to lead this party potentially to be the next government, or you don't. Let me know now. Summer's coming. He's still a new dad. He's got things to do, places to go, people to see. I don't think he's going to have problems getting a job after the job he's done with Quebec Solidaire. But really, I think this is the kind of cod liver oil that this party is in need of and has been in need of for quite some time.
That's funny because my next question was going to be, depending on what happens this weekend, actually one way or the other, is this party on life support?
I think it will be. Right now, if you don't know what if Quebec Solidaire doesn't know what it is, if it doesn't know what its role is in Quebec politics, I'd say that the problems of Quebec Solidaire and frankly anybody who voted for that party in the last election will be asking themselves, a lot of questions between now and the next general as to whether this is a wasted vote. Maybe some people like symbolic gestures. I don't like my vote to be a symbolic gesture. I like my vote to actually change things. I think there are a lot of QS supporters who feel the same way and who perhaps themselves were getting fed up with the idea that everything is a psychodrama, that everything is this kind of moral dilemma that we have to have a general counsel on and talking to her blue in the face. He is saying either, fish or cut bait. You want me here or not? Right. I've made it clear what I want to do with this party. You don't want me here? Let me know. I'll judge from the level of support I get in the confidence vote. But yeah, if he could be gone by Monday, and honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think how can I put it? Cooler heads will prevail, and perhaps some sanity might break out, realizing that the only social democratic party left in Quebec politics is Quebec Solidaire. The Parti Québécois gave up that mantle when it made everyone's favorite billionaire and union buster, Pierre Carapello, its leader. So the PACs can call themselves all kind of things. The Social Democrats ain't it. And I think there is a good stream of left of center votes up for grabs in this province. And I think QS, once it has a coherent policy, would be a good place to park those. And perhaps if they they make it palatable to the rest of us, especially with the ridiculous jobs the other parties are doing. They could be a viable option. But right now, the first order of business is figure out who we are, what we stand for, what we are going to do, and enough with talking to ourselves. It's time we started talking to Quebecers.
Yeah. All right, let me move from provincial politics to federal. So I'm guessing we have a new poll out there which shows, I think, Jim, for the first time in actually quite a while, the Conservative lead over the Tories is actually, or over the Liberals rather, has actually shrunk. Not a lot, but at least is it an indication that things are beginning to change, do you think?
I got to tell you, the lead, the overall lead over the Liberals of the Tories has plummeted to 16%. They're only 41% compared with 25% for the Liberals. But I got to tell you, when you do a deep dive into some of the sub-questions, there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty, even on the part of people who support Pierre Poilievre, as to what he will do. I'm seeing some rather dangerously high 25%. I don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to end the national child care program, the national dental care program, cut personal taxes. We know, or respondents knew, for sure he's going to eliminate the carbon tax. And once again, this is starting, I think, to hurt the Tories and Poilievre in particular, because when you make yourself just about one thing, as you get closer to election, people are going to start asking, more than, we know about the carbon tax, but what else are you going to do for me? Which is kind of scary. And it was so funny, Aaron, because when I heard you talking to the CTV correspondent in the last half hour about the advent of Donald Trump, I really wonder if Trump wins in November, whether that might be a shot in the arm for the Liberals, because even though there are people here who detest Justin Trudeau, can they stand what is little more than a dime store version of Donald Trump running Canada? Because Pierre Poilievre's politics, the game plan, if you will, or the playbook of the Poilievre Conservatives is precisely the same as that of the Trump Republicans. It's adversarial. It is petty, it is low, it is nasty, and you have to ask yourself, even as fed up as so many people in this country justifiably are with Justin Trudeau. I mean, they don't have that much of a problem with his policies, but with Justin Trudeau himself, with the fact that if Donald Trump was in the White House, this January, might that have an effect on the outcome of a 2025 election in this country? That's
an interesting take, right? I mean, we have ordinarily who would have considered, an American president shifting what voters might be considering in a Canadian election. But you're right. I mean, the Donald Trump situation, that's a bit of a, completely different situation here. Although, Jim, you might be getting in trouble every time you compare Donald Trump to Pierre Poilievre or vice versa. You know that, right?
Well, at this point, I've been in trouble way too long. Okay. The fact of the matter is, if you haven't figured out what kind of a threat that Donald Trump is to everything, to the States, to Canada, quite frankly, to the world, you really have not been paying attention. And what's happening right now in the U.S., as far as I'm concerned, is completely surreal, if only because even as he is facing a criminal conviction in court, Donald Trump is being perceived by a lot of media outlets who love him because he brings them clicks, as basically this is going to be a coronation. Even though, the polls are saying, we don't know the methodology of many of these polls. There's polls every other week, but it almost seems like a narrative is being quite deliberately created, not just by Donald Trump, who can't keep the story straight from one day to the next, but by mainstream corporate media in America, that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. And if you don't vote for him, clearly there's something wrong with you, even though there is no demonstrable proof that he will do anything that will improve the lives of Americans or anybody else for that. In fact, the suggestion is quite the contrary. And yet we are seeing this narrative going day after day, unchallenged day after day. And honestly, I think that more than anything else, more than NATO, more than trade tariffs or whatever, I think that his presence in the White House would have a huge effect on how Canadians are going to vote, I believe, in the next election.
Interesting to watch. I will just say one thing. I don't know if you saw the story today. So Nikki Haley, of course, who was trying to run against him, right, has now apparently come out and said she would vote for him because obviously I guess she's thinking maybe she's in line for the vice presidency, whatever else. I think that's just another issue to be concerned with. It's someone who is so anti-Donald Trump. is now on Team Trump.
Yeah, well, I don't recognize the country to the south of the border anymore that I used to know, and I think, and certainly in terms of the level of politics, certainly the so-called Republican politics that's going on there is quite, as far as I'm concerned, it's become incredibly surreal, where people will simply, you could show them a picture of a dog, and they will say, "Oh no, that's a cat," because Trump policy is to call that picture a cat.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been in politics, whether you once described Donald Trump as a threat to the United States. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump is it. He is going to be the next president of the United States. Because why? Well, apparently because the media says so.
Last thing, completely apart from this, Jim, the really important story today: girls getting sent home from a school in Laval because their shorts were too short. Did you see the story?
Oh, for crying out loud! I mean, but this takes me back. I mean, when I was that age, we had issues with dress codes and so on and so forth. And it's like, what the hell? Really? These kids? And it's true because, listen, it's either have a uniform or not, but really, if it just seems so ridiculous.
Jim, the girls' knees were too attractive to the boys, according to one of the teachers.
Well, next thing you know, they'll be dancing, Aaron.
Yeah, never know. And long hair coming back, too. Jim, have a good weekend.
You too, buddy.